Big day today, folks. We're firing her up for the first time after all of the upgrades. So I'm in a roundabout way set up to rock and roll here. I got my timing light plugged in, well, at least on power and on cylinder number 1. Got the timing light hanging out over here. We're ready to burp the coolant system, and the biggest pink elephant in the room. We have the mechanical oil pressure gauge hooked up to get an instant read on just what is going on with this thing, right? Now, just to forewarn you here, we're obviously going to have no oil pressure right out of the gate because there's fresh oil in this thing, fresh filter, so on and so forth. So when we fire it up, we'll be watching the gauge closely and, you know, I guess somewhat crossing our fingers that it jumps and we get a reading. But based on what we've seen in the bottom end of this thing, I mean, I don't know. It's a 50-50. But anyway, I'm going to get this thing backed out. I got the convertible at the shop here today, mine. So I got to get it moved out of the way. And then we'll open the door. We'll roll this sucker back. And we'll throw some fire in the holes. We're all set, and I'll tell you what, as I set myself up here to try to bring you guys along for the ride, let me tell you, like, I'm setting up cameras, like, I really need some help with this stuff, because this is not that difficult, but like when you're trying to tell a story at the same time via video, yeah, it adds a whole nother level to it. But anyway, I think we're set and ready to fire. I did set the TPS, that's not rocket science, you know, a lot of videos out there too, in case you're wondering how to do that. One thing that I will have to check and set once we're running is fuel pressure. We got that new fuel pressure regulator in there. And then yeah, timing, coolant, and just see how this thing runs. Again, the biggest situation is going to be that oil pressure, right? So anyway, pray to the Foxbody gods, however that works. All right, here we go. All right, we got our gauge, right? Where are you? There we are. I'm going to prime the fuel pump a couple of times. Actually, I'll maybe do that and then just buzz out and check the fuel pressure. Okay, let's go check that, guys, see what it's reading. I don't know if you guys can see that. Might have to dial this guy up a little bit. Okay, here, bear with me. Okay, let's recycle it and see where we're at. Okay, 40. We're gonna start there, see how it does when it's running. So this is just kind of a set screw here. I'll tighten him down. Moment of truth with oil pressure, ladies and gents. Oh, I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you my guts are in knots right now. Okay, how am I gonna hold this and you guys at the same time? Right, here we go. Holy Christ. We got oil pressure. Wow. right, guys, I gotta set you down here. Okay, we're setting her at about 13, 14. Seems to like that. Holding oil pressure at 50. Checking for leaks. So far, so good. Maybe tighten down the distributor here. I should plug my spout back into. Seems to be idling a little high. Just gotta turn the idle down here. All right, sorry folks, I actually forgot to put my makeshift oil cap on here. So these Ford Racing valve covers, you know, give you provisions for like breathers. Oh Christ, and everything's really hot now too. Perfect. And anyway, because of the clearance of this trick flow upper and, well, yeah, the upper that's causing the grief, there's like no room for an oil cap or anything. So I'm using like a rubber grommet essentially. That'll probably be changed out at some point in time, but this is the lowest profile thing I can find. So anyway, bear with me before we start getting oil splashing all over the place. I'll get this in position. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah. What now, old girl? How'd we go from running to dead? Well, this is interesting. Nothing's changed. Got fuel pressure. Coil wires on. Oh, what the hell? We give her a little reset there. Still holding oil pressure at 50. Where are we getting smoke from? Smells like oil. Thermostat hasn't opened yet. Fans haven't kicked on either, but we're reading about 180, 190. Actually, I think those fans are set to kick on at like 200. Okay, I gotta bring this idle down. About 1100 right now. Climbing in temp. But the thermostat doesn't seem to be opening. Wonder what the hell that's all about. Why are we getting so hot here, buddy? And the fans ain't kicking on? Well, ladies and gents, maybe stand by here. I'm going to see if I can figure out what's going on with the fans and or why that thermostat doesn't seem to be opening up. We got nothing in the hose here. Or no, maybe we do. But the fans definitely aren't kicking on. So stand by, we'll get this figured, and I'll bring you back into the loop. Okay folks, quick update. I just got off the blower here with Dakota Digital. Rob actually over there, great guy. We were actually exchanging emails. We're gonna yak when he's not at work and I'm not at work. But what we think's going on here with the temperature climbing like it is, so obviously we're trying to burp the coolant system, right? And anytime you're trying to burp a coolant system, temp gauges will do wild things as air bubbles pass them, right? Spike or drop or whatever. Now the other side of this is, and I remember thinking this when I was putting both the VHX dash in it and this PAC 10 or PAC 2800 fan controller, I'm like, this Dakota Digital stuff's pretty smart. Like, it seems silly that I'm running 2 temperature sender units, right? And he said the same thing to me. He's like, no, you don't need to do that, right? You can just use this little crossover cable, right, that they provide you with, which I didn't know what it was for at the time. Long story. Anyway, you can essentially use just one temp sender, and you can tell that PAC 2800 fan controller to use the temperature reading from the dash. Okay, I just finished writing this all down and whatever, making sense of it. So, because why I say all this is I'm actually getting different temperature readings between the different temp senders, and that's not really helping with the whole setup of this thing, right? So we're going to eliminate one of the temp senders, just go to one. Kind of makes sense, right? It's the obvious thing to do. But do that. I'm gonna have to extend this little guy. So I'm just gonna cut these 3 wires and extend it because, well, if you guys caught my other videos, you know that I've got one of the Dakota Digital brains underneath driver's side, you know, kind of knee area, and the other one's way over in the glove box, all of which made sense during install to hide everything and whatever. But now as I go to run this stubby little cable, I'm like, wow, this ain't good. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to wire this up. We'll get reading off of just one temp sender, and we'll fire this thing back up and see where we're at. All right, so not a whole lot to update you on here other than the fact that I'm now utilizing this port on the Dakota Digital fan controller. So essentially what I'm doing is this controller is now talking to the dash controller that's over in the glove box. Okay, so I've essentially eliminated one of our temperature senders. So again, we've got one here in the intake, and then we've got this other one over here in the Y block that comes off the heater tube. I don't know that I'm gonna go to the great lengths of officially removing them. I think I'm just gonna leave them in there for now. If one ever fails, I guess you could jump to the other one. So maybe a nice little fail safe. But yeah, we were just having some issues with this as the coolant system was burping itself. We were getting different readings. The fans weren't coming on. Actually, the owner of the car stopped by, fired it up for him, and we had fans working again. So all's well, but essentially we're at the same point that we were at when I last left you off and we had the car running. Things are doing what they're supposed to do for the most part, but I actually want to confirm that. So I'm going to get my code reader out and I'm going to do a key on, engine off code reading and just check things out and see where we're at there. So we're not fully burped yet. There's still some more runtime that needs to happen here, but right now I'm just going to check some codes. I'll get back to you, let you know what this thing's reading out at as far as trouble codes are concerned. All right, results. We've got code 81, 82, 85, and 84, and those are key on, engine off codes, and then we have 11s for continuous codes. So, long story short, without boring you to death, this is air diverter solenoid stuff, and what else do we got here? EGR vacuum regulator. Well, the EGR has left the building. Canister purge solenoid circuit failure. Not going to panic over any of these. These aren't going to affect what we're trying to accomplish here. So yeah, without boring you to death on any of that intel, we're going to move on to some key on engine running tests. Just checking a plug here real quick before I fire it up, and all's looking pretty good in there. All things considered, even though it's not running perfect yet, but yeah, pretty happy with that, especially considering how the plugs look when they came out of it. All right, folks, we got a serious oil leak. Lord only knows where that's coming from, this bloody car. Anyway, as I was running key on engine running tests, this thing was just deciding to shut off. Can't really figure out why. So, I don't know. Testing away here, trying to figure out what in the hell is going on with it. Pretty boring stuff in all honesty, but at any rate, we're, I think, making headway. Foxbody stuff, right? Never give up. All right, guys, update time. We have a relatively significant oil leak scenario on our hands here. This thing seems to be puking oil from the rear main seal. So, yeah. This thing was leaking oil when it came in, right? You can see on the passenger side of the H-pipe here, it's covered, like the starter was covered. I don't know what, like how this rear main could be that bad that fast. I mean, this is whatever. We all joke around about small block Ford, you know, rear main seal leaks, but like this is, it's got holes in it, you know? This is massive. This was for me just sitting there running it. So anyway, that's something that needs to be dealt with. Now, as for the rest of it, like the kind of tuning aspect of it, I've got a starting issue. So what's going on with this thing, I can maybe show you here. I'll bring the car back down and kind of imitate it, but for what it's all worth is I turn the key, it just turns and turns and turns and turns and turns. It won't start. But then if I hold the accelerator to the floor, like essentially put it in flood mode, right, where it kind of whatever, shuts off the injectors and clears the cylinders, whatever, it'll start. And then it'll sit there and run fine. So, I don't know, like, I mean, I got that brand new fuel pressure regulator in there, unless maybe one of the O-rings walked, or I don't know. So there's something interesting going on there. And then the other thing was, when I was doing the key on engine running test, the car would just shut off. Like just, I'm out, like as if you turn the key off. Like it wouldn't sputter, it wouldn't nothing, just turn off like it's possessed. So that's interesting. Anyway, the diagnosis continues. Like I said, I'll bring this thing down. I'll show you guys kind of what's going on with this whole like turn and turn and turn and turn and turn, and then how I can get it to start, and then we'll see if we can figure that problem out. All right, car's on the ground, and I guess I should mention, the only reason I pulled it in and did what I'm doing here is I'm like, where in the hell is all this oil coming from, right? So wanted to lift it up and I guess just confirm what I already assumed, which is the rear main was gone. But I'm gonna show you guys the symptom I'm dealing with here. Okay. So, if you'll watch my foot and the pedal and whatever, right? Nothing on it. We're gonna roll the key forward. That little kind of stumble start is actually more than I've been getting out of it. But anyway, now watch this. So I'm going to do this flood clearing procedure, which is essentially just hold your foot on the floor or on the accelerator right to the floor and turn it over. Fires right up. Okay, so point proven. Oh, hi guys. Hang on one sec. Let me just finish filming here real quick. Yeah, I'll show you that in one sec. So I guess the long and short of this situation is we've got an overfueling problem. And the things that have taken place or that have changed since this car originally came in and didn't have this issue are injectors and fuel pressure regulator. So I'm doubting that it's the fuel injectors. I have a feeling it's something going on with that fuel pressure regulator. At any rate, I think what I'm gonna do is actually change out that SVE one for the stock one. Start there. If while it's coming apart, anything looks out of order, then we'll deal with that then. And maybe that fixes the problem. But if that doesn't, we're pulling that one, the SVE one, and putting the stock one in, and then we're gonna try it.
Okay, we just came up with the name for the yellow car. It was me, Abby, and Dad's vote, Bumblebee. I came up with that. And it was Sadie and Mom's for Minion. Or Lemon. Lemon.
And I'm not very happy with the vote.
Yes, so
Sage isn't happy with the vote?
So Mint Ruby and Bumblebee.
Guess it's official.
You heard it, folks.
Okay, the fuel pressure regulator is off. And let me tell you, it's a real pain in the ass to change them like this. I think going back on, I might loosen the rail off a little bit and yeah, give myself a little more working room. At any rate, you know, it's one of those things, like all of this is together. The last thing I want to do is take it all apart. So anyway, here I am putting myself through pain. Now, here's the original. Okay, so this is like OE Ford. Here's the SVE one. Now, visually, you know, nothing looks wrong with it. It definitely did adjust the fuel pressure at the gauge that I put in it, right? When I turned the set screw and, you know, like it adjusted fuel pressure. But the only thing that I noticed that was weird is when I was taking this guy off, there was a weird, like, suction noise on the go, which made me think, I'm like, is the return line plugged? Like, is the tank not vented? Like, it started at bringing lots of questions to mind. But I don't know, or maybe it's this, because when you work yourself backwards from when this car came in, this is new, the injectors are new, the intake's new. And obviously this is a fuel issue. We've already figured that out. So, you know what I mean? I'm just kind of throwing shit at the wall here, folks. Anyway, wish me luck. I'm going to try and squeeze this guy back in there, and we'll see if we can flash it up any easier this go around. We got her. Okay, so moment of truth. Time to flash this old girl up. Now, what the hell? Let's do it right here. And if it starts, I'll back her up a little closer to the door so we don't get smoked out. Okay. Do a little prime in here. You know what, for fun, let's just check that fuel pressure gauge and see what it's reading. About 35-ish. All right. Well, fire in the hole, ladies and gents. All right. Good start. Let's back her up a bit here. Okay, let's give it another go here. Right. Son of a... overfueling itself for some reason. There's our oil pressure. It's hanging up a bit too. That was me doing the flood clear. Interesting. Goddamn fox bodies. Okay. Hell, guys, I don't really know. Mosquitoes are coming out. I gotta close my door. Yeah, I'm at a little bit of a loss here. So it wasn't the fuel pressure regulator. The fuel pump was in it, like when it came here. We haven't done anything back there. The only other thing is injectors. I might have to call a friend on this one. Because I honestly, I don't really know what the hell's going on with it right now. And why it seems to be overfueling itself. It's super odd. Anyway, enough of you guys watching me think. Stand by. Day 2. I got out of here at about 1:30 in the morning and still have not solved this overfueling situation. So prior to, 1:30 in the morning, I had reached out to my good buddy, Mr. Matthew Puzzi at Tech Motion. A lot of you that watch my channel have probably caught some of his videos or subscribed to his channel as well. Wealth of knowledge. I mean, this guy's Yoda when it comes to these cars, right? Hence the reason I was giving him a call. So prior to me leaving last night, I tried to do everything possible so I could provide Matthew with as much information as humanly possible, right? Because I don't want to waste his time. I want to, provide him with the details and then have him go, oh, did you check this? Or, oh, you hadn't thought of this, which is kind of what happened. So here we are. I have removed the mass airflow sensor as per his instruction, because when I was providing him with the information as to what went on with this car, I said, look, it ran like shit when it came in, but it did run and it would start. And I said, now I've got this weird overfueling issue. And the only thing that's changed between when it came in and now in regards to fuel is I said, we've got 30-pound injectors and a matching 30-pound MAF. So he said, okay, that 30-pound MAF is going to have one of those crossover connectors on it, right? That goes from a 6-pin MAF to a 4-pin like Fox style connector. I'm like, yep. He goes, well, I just had a guy's car in the shop where it was running like trash. And as it turned out, this connector was not fully seated on the mass airflow sensor, right? So anyway, I sit here, I'm like, he goes, unplug it or try to push it. I tried to push it. It wouldn't click any further. And then I go to try to unplug it. And as it turns out, these bloody things are like siliconed in place. So Christ almighty, like look at the war room I got going on here just to try to break this thing apart. And then as I couldn't get it apart, I got thinking to myself, well, are one of these pins folded over maybe or what? Now, I've already cleaned this out, but I'll put a picture up on the screen as to how I found this thing when I first unplugged it. There was quite a bit of this silicone material inside. And now I don't know if maybe it was like crossed over and covering one of these and I was getting a bad connection, or who knows, right? But I'm hoping, because outside of that, I'm really starting to run out of options. So yeah, we're gonna essentially plug this guy all back in, confirm continuity before I plug it all in and everything, and see if this is my issue, because technically, well, as per Matthew's information, if the computer would be still in like 19-pound injector mode if it didn't sense that there's this 30-pound mass airflow sensor, which would ultimately mean that this car, he had a calculation he ran, would have been running 60% richer than it should have been. Which, you know, when you think about it, kind of lines up here with based on what I'm dealing with. So anyway, oh, another thing here too. This is just a little bit of a head scratcher for me, but I've got the idle air control valve off. This car, when it came in, it had this weird click when you cycled the key. So you just turn the key forward, don't like start it, but just cycle it forward. You'd hear the fuel pump go, and then something under the hood would click. And I'm like, I've never heard that click before in all the cars I've messed around with like this. Well, anyway, again, late last night, I'm dicking around with it, and I come to find that it's the idle air control valve that's doing this weird like click. And I've tried another idle air control valve. I've got one sitting here on this 90 mil throttle body that's part of the Kenny Bell build. Tried that one, same thing. It does this weird click. And because this thing idled so awkwardly when it first came in, and in a lot of regards still kind of does, it hangs up and stuff, I'm like, is there something going on with that IAC? I don't know. So anyway, that's maybe a whole nother story, but here's where we're currently at with the MAF. So I'm going to tidy this guy up. We'll plug it back in, maybe see if we can get a decent reading off it, and hope to Christ that this is my problem. Right. Moment of truth. Let's turn the key and see what we got. Okay, old girl. Let's do this. You're kidding me. All right, hold on, one more time. Unreal. I mean, okay, you guys have been along for the ride, so obviously this is just all unfolding live, right? Live. Like what? I mean, you guys seen what this thing was doing, right? I'm chasing, okay, put it this way. Last night, or this morning, whatever, the wee hours of the morning, I'm like at the fuel tank checking the vent. I'm like, is this thing got like an airlock? Is it like I was going to ridiculous lengths to try and figure out how and why this thing is like overfueling itself on startup. I mean, holy Christ. I don't even know what to say. Unbelievable. Matthew, I don't know if you're going to suffer your way through this whole ordeal video of mine, but if you do, buddy, you rock. Guys, check him out, right? Like I said, he's an absolute stud. The Yoda of pretty much anything mechanical or computers. Like, the guy is just brilliant in so many different ways. So anyway, I chased everything but that situation. And I know you guys watching this are going to be able to appreciate that. Like, you always go, you think to yourself, you're like, okay, I'm logicking my way through this and whatever, but you're always going to like the hardest thing when it's something stupid and simple like that flippin' mass air. And I mean, it's brand new. It's out of the box, right? Like, brand spanking new. And here's an issue with it. Like, chances are there was just, you know, they got rowdy during manufacturing and put too much silicone in there and like cross-threaded some silicone over one of the connectors, and this poor car is getting a bad reading and it's going, nope, I ain't starting. Oh my God. This is why we do it, I guess, right? I mean, now the emotions I'm going through are obviously, holy Christ, rattled, pissed off, whatever, but I'm also like, oh, we did it. So anyway, she's obviously not like fine-tuned and ready for the road yet, but that's going to take some driving around and letting this thing learn the new parameters and figure itself out. But for now, folks, we've learned a lot. Okay, so just to recap, we have oil pressure, win. It runs, win. We got no leaks other than the rear main seal. That's going to turn into a whole nother video, right? That transmission's going to have to come out of here. So anyway, I'll keep you posted on all that. But, well, I think as far as this video goes, we'll leave her here. So thanks for tagging along, folks. This whole mass airflow sensor situation is probably worth sharing. I always say this at the tail end of my videos, right? Like, if you think this would help somebody else, share it along, whatever. Well, there you go. Okay. Yeah. So all that being said, thanks so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I love chatting with you guys in the comments, right? It's one of the joys of my life, in all honesty. I really do get a kick out of it. I haven't been doing it as much lately, but I've also been like up to my eyeballs with this thing. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for everything. Really appreciate each and every one of you. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye for now.